welcome to the Impact interview, and I am super excited. Now, I gotta make sure I say your name right. Is it Nashonda?
Yes.
Yeah. See, we understand each other's names because
That's
I have a
right.
complicated name. That's why everybody call me Lady K, because it's just a lot of extra letters that my mama wanted to have fun with.
See?
So I get it. So, Miss Nashonda, I am
Yeah.
super excited to have you as one of my guests on the Impact interviews. And I want to explain to you why I chose you first. And then I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself based on what you think is best to introduce yourself. So, I chose you mainly because I see that you are one of these ladies. I call these ladies right here ladies who do everything. You're in ministry, you're in beauty, you sew, you do so much stuff. You do nails, you do hair. And I'm like, yes. Come on here, ladies. So I want to introduce everybody to Nashonda. You guys, Nashonda is one of the people that I chose mainly because she's a lady that does everything. And because of that, I see that she is making an impact no matter what she does, she's impacting. So Nashonda, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people
Sure.
about yourself?
Well, first I want to start by saying thank you for having me on today. And you're beautiful yourself, so
Yes.
one beautiful sister to the next.
She's so
But
pretty.
a little bit about myself. First, I'm just a servant of God. I love the Lord with all my heart, and I hate to sound cliche, but it's the truth, like through and through. I
Yes,
love
ma'am.
God, and because I know what His heart is people. That's what my heart is. So I always
Yes.
ask God first, let me do the things that I can reach the most people. So I felt like the beauty industry was a necessary industry to start out in because I know a lot of times as women we struggle with security,
Yes.
just having the confidence. And I believe
Hmm.
that although we know that beauty stems from the inside, I believe that sometimes it helps a little bit to have the outside put together
Yes.
so that when you stand up tall from the inside, you already have that reflected on the outside. So
Come
I
on.
started with beauty, and that's what I always wanted to do because, like I
Okay.
said, I was just passionate about God and His
Yes.
people, especially His ladies. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know if you know this. I ended up with an illness,
Oh no,
and
I
I went
didn't.
through that. I was kind of bedridden for a while, just
Okay.
passing out, couldn't figure out what was going on. And through that time, I wasn't able to stand as much, and I wasn't able to do all the things that I would like, servicing people that way. So I said, what else is on my heart, God? How can I reach other people? And I realized that I always had a passion for children. Been in youth ministry for a long time as a youth, and then started youth pastoring or youth ministering to youth in my church.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, maybe I'll take that into the education sector. So I went
Okay.
from getting a master's, just to bring y'all up, went from getting a master's in fashion design, I mean, a bachelor's in fashion design, to straight from there, instead of going to get my master's, I ended up going to hair school.
Okay.
Um, and then after that, it's just so funny. Now I'm a month away from getting my master's degree in education. So it's like, I went from just helping women to like, okay, I want to do the whole, I want to help the family. So how can I
Yes.
do that both in ministry and in
Mm-hmm.
career? So I'm just helping children, helping women, and of
Okay.
course, you know what comes next, the men. So I do also
Yes.
service men. I do,
Okay.
like you said, nails and feet as well. So
Yes.
yeah, just being able to touch people in any way I can and make them feel beautiful, not
Yes.
only from the inside and let them know about God and how much He's a
Mm-hmm.
light from within, but also to make them feel beautified on the outside. Because come on now, we are somebody, so
It
we
is.
should
Yes.
reflect that both
Very
inner and
important.
out. So that's me.
Yes. Very important. Listen, now, if I'm not mistaken, did you start a daycare?
So that's in the making. That's why I'm getting my
Okay.
master's now. I did also, and I missed this part in my description of myself. I actually
Okay.
got a scholarship to a community college to do childcare. So I got my preschool certification and everything, but I was just waiting until I finished my master's um,
Okay.
and graduate from school so I can start working on that. I have put that on my website since then, but I
Okay.
haven't started
Okay.
yet. So I actually have a waiting list for children, but with COVID and everything, it kind of pushed it back. So To
Wow.
God be the glory. It's all gonna work out, and working in His timing and His favor. So I'm excited.
Yes, but you're
Um,
talking about a waiting list. Come on, listen, listen. People of God, let me tell you, she just said that she has children on a waiting list. So
yeah,
that means the things that God has in store for us can wait until we get to where we need to be.
that's
And
right.
let me say this really quick, because the whole point of doing these videos is to present to you people who are overlooked, people
Mhm.
who are not out here, they're not famous, they don't have 30,000 followers, they don't
And
have
don't
all of that.
appreciate it.
And the purpose of this is so that you can get a chance to see what may be near you, what may be in your area. But can I prophetically say that there are some things that are waiting on the people of God
Yeah.
because you have not finished what God needs you to do first. Now, once
Mhm.
you finish that part,
Mm.
then, but the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then all of these things shall be added unto you. So the thing is, she just said that she has people waiting in line until she finished. So that means, from the sounds of it, from what I hear, that means you have money waiting on you,
Mhm.
so you
Right.
will never be broke. But then I also, oh, Rabbi say, listen, I heard you say that you were bedridden.
Yeah.
So let me tell you guys what I just heard, because see, this is the importance of this. What I just heard is that you were bedridden, right?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
got sick. So first you started with something. You got sick where you was stuck, but then
Yeah.
God healed you.
Yeah.
Then He sent you to another position,
Okay.
then he said, okay, now I also need you to do this, but
Yeah.
until you finish completing this, I'm going to have them wait for you. So that's what you just said God said.
Yeah. Yeah.
That all by itself is powerful and it's mighty. So when
Yeah.
you say, I love God with all my heart, and it may sound like a cliche, no, you are living it.
Yeah.
You are living it. Okay, so what right now, based off of where you are right now in your life,
Mhm.
right now in your career, how have that moment of being bedridden helped you, or do you feel like it catapulted you? Do you feel like it caused you to want to change some things? How did that affect your now?
All of it. It changed me, it catapulted me, all of what you just said. It changed me because it changed my mindset. Like I said before, I was on a one track mind. And like you said, when God comes and He gives you purpose, He opens up many doors.
Yes.
Blesses the works of your hands. And because your
Mhm.
heart is for Him, He opens up many doors. I have people who always ask me, how do you do so much stuff? How are you like doing multiple things? It's not because I want to, it's because God gives me insight. I can be, sleeping and wake up in the middle of the night with a dream with something else God told me to do. I'm like, how? He like me. I'm gonna work through you
Come
because
on.
you're a willing vessel. And a lot of times I
Yes,
believe
God.
people don't understand that God will work through you to do His work and to reach who He wants to reach.
Hmm.
Whether it's in fashion, it's in beauty, it's in doctor field, it's whatever field you're
Yes.
working in. And so yes, He changed my mind first. It's like I
Wow.
said, I had a plan. Although I do believe God called me to the beauty industry and I still work in that sector,
Mhm.
but I believe that He had a predestined plan to use me in various platforms. I remember when I was in hair school, He gave me this floor plan.
Mm.
It had, and it was from a dream. It had 7 different streams of income operating in one center. And I
Oh,
said, God, that looks like a mall. First of all, I'm not rich. So where am I going to get the money from to own and operate? And let me tell you, today I still don't have that building, but I can foresee in the future that that's going to bless a community of people, not just the community of unbelievers, but the community
yes.
of believers. Because sometimes
Yes.
we have to tap into a time where God is trying to manifest us beyond just
Yes.
the 4 walls of the church. I believe He's
Yes.
called us to these other sectors because other people need to see the glory of God radiating through career as well. He needs them
Yes.
to see that I can give you wealth. He
Yes.
said in the Bible, he did what? He anointed you so you can go get it. Go get it.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
yours. We don't have to
Yes.
wait for some other person or thing
My
to
God.
happen for us or to us. He does it in his time and his purpose if you're willing and able
Mm.
to do it. And so I felt, bring all that back to say, when you said catapult, I feel like it catapulted me because once, first of all, to be catapulted, you got to go back, right? You got to
Oh,
scream and be launched. So I feel
Jesus.
like I was catapulted when you use that word. I said, okay, yes, because he had to take me back. He like, okay, wait, because you think you got it together. You think you've arrived. Can I keep it real? You think you've
Mhm.
arrived at this purpose and this plan, but when I showed you that, I didn't show you that to say, oh, okay, thank you, God, for that nice imagery in my head. I showed
Yeah.
you that to put it to use, to actually
Mhm.
be a willing vessel to be used in the earth for the people of God.
Yes,
Of course,
God.
I can't make that happen on my own, but I can work with people like you and states of the city all around the world to be those seven streams of income for the people and the house of God so that we can
Yes.
bring people from the world into the church and they can sustain or be sustained on him. No, not having to worry about
Right.
money, not having to
Mhm.
worry about slaving to these 9 to 5 jobs all the time, because he will give you purpose that will generate wealth. And that's just what I
Yes.
believe. Now, have I seen all of that yet in the spirit? And that's enough for me. You know what I mean? I can eat and hunger and thirst off that. I can feast from that because I believe that everything that I've been through and how I've gotten where I am today was because God
Yes.
was there. And he took me through that time. So that time I was bedridden, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Mhm.
But I had a lot of time with God, just like in a pandemic right now. Sometimes he puts you in seasons where it seems like there's lack, but it's time spent with him to get your attention for what he wants you
Yes.
to do. So I keep hearing in my spirit every day now. You said, where is it for me now? Now I hear in my spirit every day, next steps. I have these
Yes.
next steps for you, my daughter, but you have to hear my voice. You have to hear
Mm.
my voice. You can't do your next steps. You got to do my next steps. And how I'm going to know you're listening to me is by you taking it each day.
Mm.
So
Mm.
this means I have to hear an instruction, do that one, like you said before. I heard you. Do that one, and then wait for the next instruction. That's
Mhm.
what I'm doing right now. I'm hearing him each day. I wake up. I say, what do I need to do just for today? Because what I realize is when God gives us everything at one time, like I said, He gave me that big old vision. Sometimes we
Mhm.
sit on it because we're like, that's too much. I can't do
Yeah.
that. Oh, no, me? Yes, you.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Not you, then who?
Listen, listen. I know. Let's just pause right here for a second because I know at this point the way you sound and the way you talk, people are probably like, "This is a young girl. How do you right? How do you feel like you have to defend your age and being there mentally or there spiritually because some people think that younger people don't have that mindset or that mentality to think on a platform that you're thinking. So do you feel in this season or have you felt in any of the other seasons that God has gave you different things to do, different steps to take? Do you feel that you've ever had to defend being young? And this is a two-part question. And when you did defend it, or if you did not defend it, what did that look like? What did that look like to you?
So, yes and no. In the beginning, as when I was a little younger, starting out in ministry and career both,
Okay.
I defended it all the time. I tried to defend myself all the
Mhm.
time because of the spirit. It's a spirit of offense.
Mhm.
But what I realized is sometimes when people are inquiring about what you're doing, they're not inquiring, even no matter how it comes, how they say it, or what
Mhm.
spirits behind it.
Yes.
Sometimes they're inquiring because they just don't understand or they just don't know. So I had to get beyond myself. And like I said, because he
Mhm.
catapulted me, meaning he took me back first and let
Uh-huh.
me see, don't get beside yourself. I had to
Okay.
realize that when you have a loving for God's
Mhm.
people and his things, you have to have
Mhm.
a spirit of excellence, which
Yes, you
means
do.
that you have to die to self and know that it's not about you. And if you're going to serve the
Yeah.
people, you got to understand that you're serving all types of people. So my favorite people now is what I call sandpaper people. Those are the people that
like
scratch you, abuse you, rub you all the wrong kinds of ways. And you got to be like, okay, God, I'm going to ball out tonight in my, I'm just going to cry it out. Because when I cry, I'm not going to cry from a place of offense. I'm going to cry from a place of help them, God. Help them understand what I understand. Because, see, sometimes we get offended because we think it's about us. Don't they see what I'm doing? Don't they know who I am? No, it's not about me or what they can see, about me. It's what they see through me. That we should always be focused on being a life poured out for God. And so to me, that's the number one focus. That's why I started with saying, it's all about kingdom for me. It's all about God and pleasing him, because yes, it's easy to get defensive or feel offended, but it's when you keep your mind on purpose, you can do purposeful things. See, sometimes we get sidetracked and we don't end up in alignment with God because we don't stay in purpose. And the only way you can do that is focus on Jesus. Read his word, focus on what Jesus did. The devil came against him, people came against his own came against him, but they didn't understand him. It wasn't so much that they were against what he was doing or saying. They just didn't always understand. Why you? Why now? You're so young, right? That we're young. But who's to say how old I am? Don't know how old I am in the spirit. You know how old I am on earth. See, we work in chronos time, and see, God can do an accelerated work because of your obedience. I believe people may know how old you are in the flesh, but they don't know how old you are in the spirit. Because God will accelerate you because of your obedience and your willingness and your faithfulness to him. So, yeah, I'm young, but in the spirit, I'm very wise and very old in the mindset of maturity about the things of God and how he has a heart for his people, which means there might be some difficult ones. But those are the ones he still comes for. He still says, you're my friend. I love you. So that.
My God. Listen, y'all. She sound like this because she a pastor. Listen, this is the sound of a pastor, the heart of God, the heart of people who wholeheartedly just want God's people. And it's so much more than just having ministry inside the walls. So this brings me to my next question with you. What does, when I used the word catapult and you said, remember, catapult, you got to be pulled back. What did being pulled back look like to you?
It looked like looking like I was going to lose. Like I was in almost a losing battle. Like nothing was working for me. Like everything was against me. My health failed, my finances failed because I couldn't work. It looked like people forsaking me, saying, oh, she must have sinned. When you're in a place of acceleration and you're in a position to be prepared to be catapulted, because there's a preparation stage. A lot of times it looks like you don't fit in, looks like you don't make sense, looks like you're crazy, like you almost need to go see somebody for that. But it also looks like a place of peace, a place of being set aside and set apart for the God or the master's use. So it's a beautiful place, but it can be hard. And I just want to keep it real with people because it can be hard. It can be testing. I believe even Jesus went through that. He was like, look, Lord, take this little cup away from me. This little cup a little big right now. Like this is hard. I don't want to do that, Lord. But I do understand your purpose for me. So just help my unbelief. Like help me, like get beyond this. Help me do what I need to do for you.
Yes. Okay, so I got another big one that might be a little mind blowing for you, but I do know that you are a PK.
Yes.
So if for y'all out there who just a little behind, a PK is a pastor's or a preacher's kid. Yeah. So she's a PK, but she's also a pastor herself. So my question to you is, when did you find your own walk with Christ outside of being a PK? Because that's very important to know. But even if you weren't a PK, where do you feel like your walk with God began?
Okay, so I feel like that's twofold answer, because where my walk with God began
Mm-hmm.
And how did I know my own ministry? I guess I could say that, or walk in
Okay.
my own call for God, was two different times completely.
Okay. 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 And it's okay.
Okay. I was introduced to Jesus at 7.
Mhm.
And it wasn't at church. Now, I'm going to tell you, I went
Okay.
to church pretty much all my life, but how I got introduced was in my home.
Wow.
When my parents would say, you need to go pray. Now, I understand that everybody else outside playing, but God has a plan for you. And I'm going to keep it real with some young people or some older parents who may be struggling with youth that are anointed. Let me tell you something about that. It can be very hard because when
Yeah.
you're different and you're anointed, you can't do and live and go through life like everybody else. So it starts early. And
Yeah.
so my starting point with God was at 7. I would be in my room and my mom would say, you need to go write down some scriptures and you need to quote that. And my
Come
dad would say, you
on,
need to
mother.
walk like a lady. You are a lady of honor. You're a lady of purity. You don't do what other ladies do. You don't walk like other ladies walk. And so they began to decree and profess things over and into my life that birthed a new security in me. How many of y'all know
Yes.
as we go through life, we also have other voices?
Yes.
So I battled even within the church of where is my identity though? So I know what mom and dad says about me. So here's this. How do I walk in my calling though? Although I know what I'm called to, how do I walk in that? I had that set myself aside and spend more time with God. So here's this. I spent time with him as a young girl, but it
Mhm.
calls for some extra more time when you now have a calling. So I was
Mhm.
called to preach almost at like 16 years of life, you know?
Mhm.
And I was like, it was at a youth conference at my previous church. So my parents weren't always pastors, okay?
Okay.
They
Okay.
didn't become pastors until I was almost about that age, like teenage years, like almost
Okay.
18 year old age range. So I was young, but I wasn't that young. So I knew him before that. But when they started pastoring, that's when I said, oh, I have to have a call for myself, because when God called them, he called me to the youth instantly.
My
So, but
God.
check this though. I was already working with the youth as almost a youth leader at my church prior to
Wow.
that. She would always pull me aside. Now, first it started with my parents pulling me aside, saying decrees and declarations, over my life, saying this is who you are. This is what God said. This is what
Mhm.
I'm like. I'm young. I want to go ride my bike like everybody. No, you're not everybody else.
Yes.
So hurt. But then it was at my church before my parents became pastors where they said, the youth minister would say, okay, but you can't play with my kids and everybody else. You have to come over here. So I would be the one writing the songs for the youth choir. I would be the
Mm.
one at every retreat speaking the word. I would be the one when she would ask for prayer. I would be the only one she would ask to pray, and the only one laying hands on you. She wouldn't even lay hands on you. She would say, God said you're anointed to the youth. And I'm like, no, I'm just a youth. And then when my parents actually stepped into it, again, I was about to go to college. So here's this. I had my dream of being a fashion designer.
Mhm.
So the call came from me having a yes to say no to myself, if that
My
makes sense. It came
God.
from me deciding. I had to make a hard decision. You know how in movies and cartoons or whatever, you may see, you
Mhm.
have a good angel, like a God on this side, like, baby, I
Uh-huh.
got this for you. The devil, like, nah, go this way. I literally had that moment where I was like, okay, I can go
Wow.
to college in New York. I can be doing my own thing. I could be
Mm.
this famous designer. And I believe I would have made it. I really
Yeah.
do. Because I
Yeah.
was passionate enough for people
Mhm.
in the world of fashion, but it
Yes.
wasn't all God had for me. And sometimes you have to
Yes.
say no to your yes to
My
yourself
God.
and say yes to God's yes over your life. And so
Yes.
it had to be a point where I had to come beyond what mommy and daddy said and
Mhm.
beyond what my old youth minister said, and actually walk out a calling over what God said over my life. And that's totally different, because
My
people can
God.
tell you what God says, but when you
Mhm.
understand what God
Mhm.
says to you, it's a whole nother experience,
A
and it
whole
really
nother
will bless
experience.
your life. But how about this? When I said yes is when I got sick.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's when I had to really seek him, because now it's like, God, I gave you my yes, and now I'm bedridden. What did I do wrong?
Okomando Roshaya.
Nothing. God
Nothing.
said, I finally got you where I want you.
Oh,
Because now you would have never seen the lost children of the world. You wouldn't have ever thought about the lost people groups of the world. You would have never opened your mouth. Believe it or not, I talk, but I ain't talk this much. It's it's the glory of God that makes you want to talk to tell other people how good God has been and what he
Yes.
has for them. Because a lot of
My
people
God.
they sitting in church and don't understand that they are so special and so uniquely
My
made by
God.
God. So you're called on this live. I'm called. Everybody who's going to listen to this is called. People all over the world who have never been reached or called by God,
Called
but they
by
all
God.
get an opportunity to answer because they don't accept his call. And so
My
I wanted to be the one that said yes, because I knew that now with my parents walking in ministry and now me having to accept this call, I have people watching me.
yes, God.
And that
Yeah.
meant more to me than my career moving to
Mm.
New York and being famous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why I said earlier when you said famous, I said, I don't care too much about that no more. Now, he may use me on a big
Mm-hmm.
way, in a big
Mm-hmm.
way or a small way. If he
Mm-hmm.
do it, that's him. But it's no longer about me. And it took a while. Let me be honest. Let's be honest. It took me a while to get humbled.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I believe that bedridden experience was about being humbled because I just
Mm.
wasn't. I
My
wasn't. I
God.
wanted what I wanted. And it's not that I wanted to hurt anybody. It wasn't from a place of malice. But sometimes when you're set on what you're set on and it's not God's way, he will sit your butt down and make
Mm-hmm.
you do what he has for you. But it's so much more peace when you say yes to him than it would have.
Yes.
I would have been crazy
My
out there living in a world,
mm.
with no protection. But I have God's protection over me. And the
My.
people that are connected to me have his protection over them. They say, I've been through this and they said that about me, but I know that there's a protection over them because they can call me any time of the night. They can text me and say, look, Shonda, I'm going through this. You gotta call me, Pastor Minister, because in
Mm-hmm.
that moment you need a friend. You just need somebody to help you get
Yep.
through, you know? So
Yes.
that's really when I realized that it was more about the call that God had over my life than anybody else telling me I was called. And
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
that was a long way of saying that.
No, you said it right because you got to explain what you say so people can understand what you said. But it is a few things I want to say. So first, when you said your mom, and then would be like, you'd be like, I want to go outside, I want to go play. You
Yeah.
know, we do that with our daughter.
Oh,
And she's a young girl. And I heard Juanita Bonham tell her story about how her mother was with her. Now, Juanita Bonham is a whole nother story today, you guys.
woo, yes.
We got it. We here already. But we gonna talk about when it first started. When it first started, Juanita Bonham said her mama would tell her siblings, go on outside. No, baby, you got to stay in here with mama. You got
Oh,
to pray. You got to read your word because
yeah,
you understand the call that's on their life.
yeah.
Now, this is why the Bible says, raise up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they get older, they won't depart from it. She
Mm-hmm.
said exactly that. She said that her mom would say, listen, you got to stay in here today. You got to do this today. So she was raising her. Now that she's an adult, you can hear it in her voice. She
Oh,
knows
yeah.
how to think for herself. Now,
Woo.
then she said, I had to tell my yes no. So what she wanted to do, she had to say no to that thing
Right.
so that she could say yes to God's thing. But then
Yeah.
she said she had two different things in her ears. One person, but that's why going back to the word. See, this is why you gotta read your word, people, because your word will help you. It'll help you survive. But she said she heard two different things, and all I can think about was the scripture when God said, well, in the scripture where it says, my sheep know my voice and another they
Hey.
follow. See,
Yeah.
people always assume that just means, oh, I heard God, I'm going to go. No, that means he's specifying and letting you
Uh-huh.
know there are a number of sounds. There are a
Oh,
number of
yeah.
things that you will hear. But
Oh, yeah.
because you are my sheep, you know my voice. You will follow what I said to do. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I constantly hear you say. Now, the hard part about this interview right here is because she does both ministry and business. It's like it's a part of me that's kind of like ministry, ministry, ministry. But I want to give you a chance to talk about your business. So
Mm-hmm.
how did or as far as your location and
Mm-hmm.
what you do, how do you choose what service to provide? Because when you do a lot, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's a part of you that can say, well, this seems like it's booming a little bit better, so let me do this. Well, this
Mhm.
seem like it's doing a little bit better. Let me do this. So how did you decide or distinguish what should be top, what should be bottom? Well, which way do I go? How do you pick and choose what service that you provide?
Woo, that question's hard too, but I would start by saying this. Because God gave me that vision that I was talking about earlier with the seven streams of
Mm-hmm.
income, I initially thought that I would be in my own four walls, have it all together. So I started a
Uh-huh.
shop. And I remember a time when, come on, can we be real? Can we be
Uh-huh.
honest?
Be
I
real.
remember a time when my dad said, God probably is calling you to do. Matter of fact, I see it. I see
Mm-hmm.
the ministry of beauty on you. You're not just a minister. I do see beauty in you. But
Mm-hmm.
God is saying to me, not now. But I didn't listen.
My,
I didn't
my.
listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was prior to me getting sick. Okay,
Oh,
cause so
okay.
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 I didn't listen, so I started my own shop. Everybody came and helped me. Had my doors open, had the grand open, had the whole shebang. Went
Mm-hmm.
into business. People were flourishing in there, coming in for the first week. After that, for the next few months, nothing.
Wow.
Oh man, I cried. Nobody knew because
Okay.
when you know
Mm.
that you know what God said, but you do what you want to do because you don't say yes first, that's what happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say after that, end up
Okay.
getting sick. That's when the bedridden thing happened. So I did close my doors. But here's what I'll say about with that and how I know now. Now
Okay.
I do it off need. I'll
Mm.
post something that I'm doing for the day. I'll post things like, say, for instance, my face is made up today. I'll post that and
Okay.
say, hey, face by me. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'll get a hair appointment, or I'll get a beauty appointment, or I'll get a
Okay.
health appointment. So I do various
Mm-hmm.
things, but I literally just live it like I'm having fun now. I don't do it like from a place of
Wow.
ministry or business. I do it from a place of
Yes.
meeting a need. So I'm
Yes.
just mobile right now because I do still see that big arena, but I believe that God sometimes will take us to where the least of these.
Yes.
I was saying earlier about the least people group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes he'll take us to the least of these, and sometimes that looks like coming out of where is a big norm, like how everybody
Yes.
else does it. And I
Yes.
believe allowed me now to still do everything that he wants me to do because I believe
Mm-hmm.
he gave me those gifts. I didn't give them to myself. Okay, even though I
Yes.
went to
Yes.
school for them, but how could I have thought of that? Like I ain't that
Yeah.
smart. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe that he
Mm-hmm.
gave them to me. Sometimes, and I
Okay.
have to say that sometimes people think, oh, well, I messed up somewhere. God didn't give me that. No, he gave it to you, but sometimes it's not working because you're doing what he gave to you and you're using it in the way that
In
you
the way you
thought that
want.
you would use
Mm-hmm.
it. But God said, you don't need a physical building. You are the
Yes.
building. So I'm going to take
Yes.
you to where there's need.
My God.
So I find that a lot of
Mm.
times, like I said, I'll just do a post or I'll just be somewhere and somebody will say, I can't even really afford to do my hair. I'll say, what can you afford? I'll do it. Because see, I've learned that
Wow.
it's not even always about setting prices. I do have
Yeah.
prices and
Yeah,
I do
come
have a
on.
list. But when you make it about meeting a need, it's less about the money. Now, here's what I'll tell you about the
Yes.
money.
Yes.
God will make it so your bank account will flourish and you won't even know how it's flourishing because you meeting needs and the money not adding up. But when you focus on him, you'll be like, how did I pay rent? All my bills paid off. And I'm
Yes.
talking from experience now.
My God.
Everything is working together. I don't have a job. I'm only doing meeting needs ministry or meeting needs career right now, which
Mm-hmm.
means I'm just on the go. I'm hearing your voice. Remember, I said earlier, hearing your voice daily. That's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got. I'm just hearing your voice daily. So that looks like you got
Man.
to be focused. You got to literally wake up each morning, pray. Before you leave your
Yes.
room, pray. Before
Yes.
you brush your teeth, pray. Before
Yes.
you do your daily whatevers, pray.
Pray. Pray.
You
Pray.
don't get so busy
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know who you're
My
going to meet
God.
that day. You don't know
My
who's
God.
going to need you that day. It's not
My
about my
God.
gift. It's not about my ministry, but who is in need. When we make it about the purpose of God and the needs of the people, man, so much gets done. And so that's how I do it. I just literally wait for God's voice and I
My
wait for
God.
the person. And when I hear the need, I know it's him. I know he's the one
Mm.
because I have it in me to do it. So it got to be the need I'm supposed to meet for the day. I say, God, when they say it, I'm going to know because I'm going to know your voice and I'm going to hear the cry of the need. And then
Yes.
in that, with me doing career, I'm able to minister to them and tell them I don't have to say Jesus this and Jesus that. But what I can say is, you woke up this morning. That's a blessing. Some people didn't make it through
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
You did.
Some people ain't
That's a
still
blessing.
making it through
Okay.
COVID.
You know?
Yeah, and it's
So,
not funny, but it's like
yeah.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. My God. Listen, listen,
I can
listen.
talk all day. I'm sorry.
No, no, you are fine. I'm going to, my Lord, I need you to go ahead and tell the people about your location.
Okay.
Now, when this get edited, all of her information will be below. But tell the people about how they can contact you, how can they get
Yeah.
in touch with you, and just whatever you feel in your heart to expound to the people. This is your standing ovation.
Okay.
Release it.
Sure. So you can follow me on Facebook. It's just my name, Nashonda Sherrod. You can also follow me on Instagram at I am Nashonda Sherrod. I also have a website, which is just www.nalasheroyale.com. Okay.
Yeah.
I also do a lot of ministry, so it'll be on my. You can also add my church page if you like to, which is just at
Mhm.
Faith Healing and Anointing Temple, or at FHA Temple, but I'll send that to you if you want to add that as well. But
Okay.
as far as my website, a lot of times people will ask, and I'll end with this, a lot of times people will ask, how did I get Nalashe Royale? So I
Okay.
explain that as my website name or my business name, and it really
Okay.
came from, like I said before, my parents saying to me all the time, you are royalty. And so I
Wow.
wanted a piece of me to go out to the people. Every time someone says, well, I don't feel enough and I don't think I'm beautiful, and I always remember what I was told, and I always
Mhm.
like to share what I was given with somebody else. So it's just a
Yes.
piece of myself that goes out with each person. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I trust God
Yeah.
to fill my cup back up. But it just means the first two letters, NA, from
Mhm.
the Lashe, is my first two letters of my first name, Nashonda. The
Okay.
next two letters, LA, is from my middle name, Lavette. And the
Okay.
last three letters, is from my last name, Sherrod. And like I said, the
Wow.
Royale came from royalty, and
Uh-huh.
the E on Royale came from excellency. So it's Nashonda Lavette Sherrod Royal Excellency. That's my business. I want
Wow.
everyone to understand that you are royalty, and everything about royalty, or everything done in royalty, is excellent. You know, so
Mhm.
even if you fall short, it's excellent because you gave it your best. You're royal.
Yes.
You are
Yes.
a royal priesthood, right? That's what the Bible says. You are a royal priesthood. So whether
Yes.
in ministry or career, you are royalty.
Mhm.
And no matter how you fail, no matter what doesn't work today, God is bringing it together for because you're excellent. You did it from an excellent spirit. You are somebody.
Yes.
You are
You
royal.
are.
You
You
know,
are.
and so that's what I believe with anybody. And anytime I meet someone, that's the thing that I want to always leave with them. You are somebody. You are chosen.
You
You
are.
are royalty. You are mighty in God. So there's nothing that anything that you've ever been through or
Mhm.
you've experienced that can hold you back from what you can do now. So that's it.
Wow. I love it. I love it. And I love the breakdown because the breakdown all by itself explains that you are royalty, the whole you, everything about you. So I love it. I love it. That is beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say bye to the audience. So bye, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching the Impact interview.